It's Monday on Daily Delivery. Michael Rand here. Patrick Reusse with me as he usually is on Monday mornings. Patrick, plenty to get to. Wild in the playoffs, Twins with the sweep, NFL draft. But even though we just did a post-game Wolves podcast yesterday, we got to start there because, man, what a two-game sequence for the Wolves Friday and Sunday. I've talked plenty about it. I want to hear what you were around. What do you make of that?
Well, I was there Friday, and it was a 12-point game at the end, but I thought it was one of the greatest sports events I've seen in Minnesota because the way LeBron played, it was out of his mind for three quarters at age 40. And as Ant said, he made one of those threes from Yucatan. I didn't even know Ant knew Yucatan existed, but that was a pretty good quote. But LeBron was great. And, Doncic allegedly was sick, and he certainly played a lot better Sunday. But they were, that was just a war, that game, I thought. And, the Lakers, they basically, handed the Timberwolves that first game, and they said they were going to turn it into a physical battle, and they certainly did that in game 2, and they did that in game 3, and come back and pull that one out. And Jade McDaniels, one of an all-time great games, not only offensively, but the job he did on Doncic and defensively the whole game, and he was just tremendous. And that wasn't Ant's best game at all by any means on Friday, but I thought it was just great. And the crowd, I mean, you go to Target Center and they announce sellouts. This time they were up to the back wall.
Yeah.
There was nothing to be seen, no empty seats. A lot of times people have tickets, they loiter around, they do there. Everybody was in the seats. The place was crazy. And the fourth quarter was, the last 3-4 minutes, they finally pulled it out. But I thought that was a great game. And then yesterday was better because they,
I know, somehow.
I mean, there were many times you just, even when they all of a sudden they get back in it, and then they fall back behind again and get down by 3, and you think the Lakers are just going to figure it out and get it done. And to win it there was pretty amazing. And, Ant made some big shots, scored 43. Nas is the stat still? He hasn't missed a shot in the fourth quarter. Is that true in this series?
I hadn't heard that, but that could be it. Yeah.
And, he was great on Friday, and then yesterday he popped in a couple of those threes. To me, one of the biggest upsets in watching the development of players, and I've said this before, is Nas becoming a three-point shooter. Who could have imagined that the first couple of years when you just thought, he's a backup inside player who will get a few minutes here. It's going to be sad when we got to let him go, man. There's going to be a lot of people crying, but somebody's got to go, and now I suppose maybe it depends on how high-priced Randall's going to be. But, man alive, he's been good, too. He's just been terrific. He had 7 turnovers Friday, but it didn't feel that way. Sometimes those turnovers are you throw a pass and the guy was supposed to still be there and he wasn't there. Right. And it didn't look to me like he was throwing the ball away. He's been terrific since he came back from injury, and I don't know, they're good. They managed to play some games this year that just drove you nuts, but man, they're I think they're the other thing is they've discovered in the first 2 games is Conley can't be on the floor a lot. He made a couple of shots once in a while, but their stretch drive team has DiVincenzo on it as their point. Ant and DiVincenzo handling the ball, and but yeah, it was great stuff. I think the NBA is the best game there is when it's good. We still got a lot of those morons who tell us, I like the college game better because they let them travel in the NBA. You're morons if you like college game better than this stuff. This was great. Also, this rumor that the NBA might shorten their games. They're worried about them. That would be a disaster to
just play.
You got to play. You got to have that 12-minute quarter, last quarter. The thing about the NBA that makes it great is, if there's a college game and there's 9 minutes left and a team's 18 points ahead, go to the parking lot.
Yeah.
If there's an NBA game among two good teams, all of a sudden they make 2 threes, you turn it over twice, and it's 7.
Yep.
And
it happens.
We've
fast.
gone through that all the time.
Oh, geez.
That's and okay. I'll say one thing. The other thing about the NBA is they do their reviews, but they do them fairly quick. It's not like
it's not bad.
It's not like college basketball when these morons go over there and say stand there for 9 minutes to try to decide whether there's 1.8 or 1.6 seconds left. The NBA only reviews when it has to, and we got a big break on the review on the LeBron play because it was correct, but it was pretty iffy. And then they also want a review on Friday night. So I don't think the Wolves fans can think they got a unfair shake against the Lakers. I think
it's been fair. Yeah, I think it's been fair.
I thought the refs did a good job in both games. Tony Brothers can come in and ruin a game in 5 minutes, but he actually had a pretty good night Friday, and yesterday was a hell of a game, man. It was not often have they been the kings of town. And now last year they went to the
conference finals,
conference finals, and it was fun. But these are the Lakers. These are the we called the Dan Jenkins called the Jets in his book, his famous book, The Dog Ass Jets. These are the dog ass Lakers right here. These are the guys. These are the team you hate, and they left us, for goodness sakes. Just the other day, 60 years ago, they left us. But it was because it's the Lakers, because it's LeBron. If you were beating LeBron and he was 40 and hobbling around and not being LeBron, but he's been great.
They made him play 46 minutes yesterday. They didn't give him a break in the whole second half yesterday.
And I'll tell you, Friday night, that first 3 quarters, when he went to the basket, get out of the way, baby. He is a huge man, and he was great. And to beat them when he's at his zenith at age 40, this is as good a game as a 40-year-old has ever played in history on Friday night. So it was great.
That was the point I was going to make. It's like if I'm not shocked that they won these games, but to survive 2 vintage LeBron games and win 2 clutch games, these aren't the kind of games you thought they would win. These aren't the kind of games they've won this season. They've not been a terribly good clutch team this year. They certainly had a lot of practice. They certainly played a lot of close games.
Weren't their stats and the clutch was terrible, right? Like 31st in the league or something like that.
Yeah, they were bad. They just, for whatever reason, it's come together now, whether it's, the enough repetitive muscle, enough chances to figure out what their closing lineup is. Maybe the Lakers are for whatever reason, a decent matchup in the clutch, especially defensively. I think the Lakers, part of it was Lakers running out of steam. I mean, they played all those guys yesterday, the entire second half. They didn't give anybody a break.
And that Dorian, whatever his name is.
Dorian Finney-Smith,
they decided to start him.
Yes.
Play the whole game. I mean, the Hayes, they've only been playing.
Hayes played 4 minutes.
They've only been playing their big man for like 4 minutes. But who's kind of lost in the shuffle here completely is Rudy in this game.
Oh, yeah.
It's not. You're not. Rudy got off to a bad start yesterday when he missed a half-footer to start.
He just laid it right on the rim and it just rolled right on.
It wasn't a one-footer. It was a half-footer.
It was terrible.
So, he's been kind of lost in this game, but I think as much fun as last year was, and coming back and beating Denver, which seemed impossible, and then coming back from a 20-point deficit, that was all great stuff. But this was better. These two games here were better because, home crowd too, and the whole thing. And I mean, but let's face it, we all look back at a great game as a great game if you win. If the home team wins, we don't remember. Man, that was, the Falcons Vikings. That was one of the greatest football games I ever saw. Nobody ever says, "Boy, was that a hell of a game."
No, you don't.
So, that's nobody would have walked out of there yesterday saying the same thing.
No,
I don't lie, but the NBA isn't really. Supposedly the TV ratings aren't as good, but then again, where are people watching it and all that stuff?
All over the place.
Yeah, and I don't buy it, but I think the NBA is in great shape right now.
In terms of public consciousness, they are embedded in it. It's the NBA and the NFL right now. Those are the two things that are inside people's heads constantly that get clipped, the drafts matter, the trade deadline, all the stuff, and then the playoffs. Like, you can't get away from it. It's too good. Like, all these games have been great. Even that bruising Knicks win over Detroit yesterday.
JB Bickerstaff is still chasing the referees.
And I guess for good reason, because they came out in the 2-minute report and said he fouled him.
Well, yeah, the refs themselves.
Yes.
After the game said we watched it, we missed it.
Right.
And it's, that's fairly clutch. It's the last play of the game, and it's a 1-point game. I think a 1-point game, and they got fouled on a 3. Yeah, that was a fairly important call.
Pretty big moment. You missed that one. It changes it from a 3-1 to a 2-2. Like, that's pretty big.
Was screaming at everybody, including Tibbs. He was screaming at Tibbs.
What are you screaming at Tibbs for?
I don't know. He wanted Tibbs to go tell the referees to let him shoot 3 free throws. I don't know what it was about.
I don't think Tibbs is going to do that.
No. Anyway, it was it was good stuff last night.
It was
great for the city to get everybody downtown. But man, that game Friday night, what was it, 11:20 when it ended or something?
Oh man, it's good.
They didn't kick it. They didn't. I was there, and we had a little 8:54 tip off.
It's not good.
No, but anyway, it was the magnificent, magnificent competition, and we haven't seen anything better around here in a long time.
No, and it was Wolves wild. I guess it wasn't quite that order. Wild Wolves for 4 straight nights, 5 nights or days, and the win for the Wild in the first one must have been Thursday, was awfully good. And even if we don't say that, hey man, that was a great game after a loss, that 4-3 game was a pretty good game too, even though they lost in overtime. They're 2-2 now. You were right last week. You liked them even after game 1, and they've made this definitely more than just a series. They look like they could win this thing if they play well.
Yeah, I think so. They, the Vegas is a powerful team. I mean, big, tall, strong forwards, and they just try to muscle the living hell out of you. And but it's hockey. You end up in overtime, and then this crazy play, and there's guys laying all over the ice, and somebody manages to slap one in, and they win. It was completely random. That's what I like about the NBA. It's not random.
No, it's not
random. When you play to 110, it's not random. When you play to 4 or 3, it's too random, especially as they seem to be like the other leagues. They let it get more physical in the playoffs. Yes. And when you let the game get physical, it's really random because they're tackling each other, and every once in a while they'll call a penalty, but not too often. And I mean, the Wild, they're good. I think they're good. And Gustafsson was playing great, but you let them off the hook. That's for sure.
Yeah, they do.
But the other thing, though, is, Mike, Louis, when I go back to Louis and all those guys, and I do, it was always home ice. We got to get home ice. Home ice means nothing anymore.
It
Means
doesn't. You're
nothing.
right.
It's
No.
now in St. Louis it might be because they won 14 in a row or home or something, and they kicked the hell out of Winnipeg. But it's not. There's no intimidation. The crowd, you come out there, it's nuts. They're playing all this music and stuff, but then they drop the puck, and after 3 minutes, it's let's go, let's see who's better
Yeah.
here, and it's in all sports. I think I keep saying college basketball is the last of the sports where it really makes a difference whether you're playing on the road or at home, and NBA, it doesn't nearly make the difference it used to. And all other sports, it doesn't. NFL, it doesn't mean anything.
Well, geez,
And,
I mean, part of it is these guys like travel in
oh, yeah,
like
they're
luxury condos in the sky now. I
yeah,
mean,
right.
nobody's
Well,
worried about getting enough sleep or like scrunching their
well,
legs into the coach seat on through a
well,
37B. Like it's all great now. They're all
what's the other thing is they're traveling the country at age 12 to play in showcases all
it's
over
true. They're used to it.
if
Yeah.
if you're an NBA player, you were on a club team in the summer that played in Las Vegas and five other places, and you were
Yeah, that's true.
gone from May to early July and playing all over and being evaluated. You got your 13-year-old kid, and you walk in the stands, and there's big time college coaches, and they're watching you, and so it's. I think they're just so used to, you know, competition now that it's not a big deal like it used to be.
No.
But man alive, that was. Let's say it again. I mean, it was a tough loss for the Wild for sure, and I guess that I wasn't there. I guess that place was crazy too on Saturday. So I was thinking of that though, but. I mean, overemphasis of sports, blah, blah, blah. Yet you have in town here 4 straight nights, as you said, of insanity.
Yes.
People are having, the result might not be what you want, but you're having the times of your life.
Yes.
I was backing out the driveway yesterday, and I looked to my right, and I didn't quite see to my left, and dang near ran over a guy and his wife and the dog as they were walking by, but they stopped, and I talked to them, and they'd been at the game yesterday, Friday,
Yep.
and they started talking, and they paid $300 apiece, and were happy as clams.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. So.
Yeah.
I mean, it's how when something good is happening with a team, it's unbelievable how big it is in a town like this. And we got everything. We got everything.
Yep.
We even got the Looney Tunes who scored a goal, so we're very happy.
We did. They did it. No, I know it is in an era of partisanship, Patrick. It is still one of the great and only unifiers that we have. You go to a game.
Yeah.
You don't know how anybody.
We don't know if that
voted.
guy.
We don't know.
You don't know if you should hate that guy because he's politically different than you or not, right?
You just all align on the fact that Luka. You hate Luka.
You hate Luka. Yeah, that's right. And you know what? He's eminently hateable.
Oh, geez.
He's a foul drawing machine. He's a diving, flopping, falling, and on TV, they were saying that McDaniel's got away with a trip. I don't buy that. You step on the other guy's foot. That's your problem.
Yes,
I thought.
I agree. I agree. I was glad it was a play on, and all the Lakers fans are upset. But they still had a chance to get the ball in and score on that possession. McDaniel's made a great play like that. It wasn't over at that point. They didn't call a travel. They didn't call a foul. They just called a play on. So.
Yeah,
I don't know. It was, but yes, he is a unifying force in and of itself. But you're right though. Sports is great like that. That's
phenomenal and it's good. But this franchise, it's hard to believe. You look back at the history, man. They've been a non-entity for 35 years. It's 36 years, right? 36
the
years.
Wolves, yeah.
Well, and they've been a non-entity at least about 28 of those 36
Well, I know, and you wrote about both those franchises the other day, and I kind of did too, just in the context of just 4 straight nights last week, and just how they were bad. They were both bad in at home recently until this stretch. But you wrote about how they've never both advanced. I think
Yes,
I don't know if you wrote that as a column or on social media, but it was like they didn't have a lot of chances to both advance in the same year. They've only both won 4 playoff series ever in their histories.
Yeah, yes, that's right. Well, and you throw in the North Stars, and
Yes.
it's 20. And then you got to subtract 1 from the NHL because they had a lockout.
Correct.
And 28 seasons, we've never had them both go to the second round. It's pretty amazing, isn't it? I mean, for having everything, it's been a lot of quiet springs around here.
Yes, quiet springs, that is for sure. Well, we'll see if the Wild can get it done tomorrow night in Vegas. Tomorrow's show, by the way, Sarah McClellan, I think she'll be on once she gets to Vegas today. We'll talk to her and get her on for tomorrow's show, so that'll be good. Set up Game 5. Obviously, huge implications there, no doubt about that. Patrick, Twins, 5 out of 6 on this homestand, which is kind of what they needed. Even after they dropped that one to the White Sox, they came back and beat up the Angels pretty good. But now we'll talk about that. But then they go to Cleveland, Boston, Baltimore, Giants are the next 4 series. That will test them in ways that I don't think the White Sox and Angels tested them.
No, and the bottom half of that lineup yesterday, now they had Jeffers having 6, and he's an actual major leaguer, but the bottom half of that lineup yesterday, oh my God, it looked like the St. Paul Saints B team, and but the pitching's been, Joe Ryan was fantastic, and yesterday his mix of stuff was terrific, and then they got the bullpen straightened out now. They got Jax. Jax was never going to be a problem. He was just, I didn't realize, though, I was talking to some people about him, he's a high amp guy. He's a really tense guy. I didn't really know that about him, but I had a guy who covers the Twins, not for us, trying to convince me they were getting ready to fire Rocco.
Wow.
And if he had a bad homestand, I don't buy it. I don't. How could you blame this mess on him? They have Mickey Gasper, who's like 29 years old, journeyman. They got some guy who was 4 for 40 at Miami, who they brought. It was 29 years old.
It was 4 for 9 for them somehow, but yes.
Jonah Bride. And now they bring in Roger Clemens' kid because
Cody, right?
He still gets hurt. You got a bench that this is not a major league roster of players. They're not going to be a 500 team this year. They're not going to. But the pitching's the pitching's pretty good. But then again, for some reason, they beat the Angels all the time. The White Sox and the Angels are the 2 teams they beat all the time. So I wouldn't put too much on. I was surprised though. I was there Saturday and they announced 23 and they had over 20 in the ballpark. That kind of shocked me after those White Sox crowds were like 2,000 people maybe total there for some
friends and family. It was,
but I don't know. I think it's going to be it's not going to work. The lineup, it's just not a big league lineup, and in my opinion. So, as I said, the pitching's good. You got 4 relievers that are really good, and you got the rotation's good, and so. The pitching will be okay, but it's not. You're right. All of a sudden they start playing the real teams now, and now Cleveland's having big struggles too. But you got, Boston, Baltimore. Baltimore's not playing up to its snuff, but they're good. But then, it's just not a very good team, I don't think.
No, and Cleveland's been a little better lately. They're 15-12 now, so they're kind of figuring it out a little bit. And then why? And I'm trying to figure out, like, they've got injuries. Obviously, we got Wallner. Sounds like he's going to be out like maybe till June. That was the notebook update yesterday with that. That seemed like a long, at least a moderate strain he's got. You got Royce now, who's playing rehab games, so he should be back soon. But you just lost Keishel. So you've got some injuries there. I feel like I'm missing one too if someone else is out or has been out. But why is the bench so bad? Is this a function of them not spending the money? Like, where is this? Is this where we're seeing the payroll pinching showing up? Because you're right, those three journeymen out of 4 on the bench.
The kid from the Saints who was supposed to be the hot prospect, Rodriguez, is hitting 230, and he's injured again for the 19th time.
Spoiler alert.
You look at that Rochester, you look at the Saints line, poor Toby Gardner opening days, looking around saying, holy cow, I got quite a team here. Now everybody's gone. He's got 32-year-old shortstop hitting third or something, and they're bad. I don't know. Injuries are just
they happen.
The level of it. I don't think it's because their training isn't good or anything like that, but the level of injuries they have is phenomenal. Did you see the Keishel injury?
Yeah, it didn't look like much of anything.
Swing.
Yeah,
it's a check swing, and the ball. Kyle Hendricks, who could hit you right in the middle of the forehead and not hurt you. He's the softest thrower there is. Yeah. And it misses his left arm, and a check swing hits him back in there. He runs down to first base. Yeah. Doc Rock runs out there, of course, trying to get him out of the game, but he said, I'm fine. Then they take him to the batting cage, and he can't swing, and they x-ray it, and he's got a break. Yeah. And that kid looked like the real deal offensively.
Yes, he did.
I mean, he can hit, and he can steal a base, and he's a work in progress as a second baseman. Did you see that one ball they hit to him the other day?
Yeah.
9-hopper T-ball went through his legs, but he was going to be your DH most of the year, and then all of a sudden he's out. 2 months probably?
6 to 8 weeks probably for the injury, and then maybe another rehab assignment. Castro's the other one that's hurt. I forgot about. Castro's also hurt.
That's a loss too.
It is a loss. Yeah, it was, they got the 3 or 4 key guys out right now, so obviously that's going to impact anybody's depth. It's just like the next guys up are not really household names right now.
Bring Calvin back too, by the way. All these rehab. We got to send a guy back on rehab. Put him in that damn lineup.
I agree.
Royce Lewis played Friday. Keisha got hurt. Get him over here and put him in the lineup.
Let's go. Yeah, why is he?
Let him rehab here instead of having, some guy who's got 2 hits in the last 2 years, it's.
I asked Bobby about that the other day when he was on. I said, "How long is a rehab assignment now?" Or maybe I asked Lavelle. I can't remember who it was, but he said it's like 7 days. It used to be 10 days. I'm like, why do they got to play a week's worth of minor league games? Just go play. You've been doing this your whole life.
Plus, you got a chance to get him hurt over there on a rehab assignment. At least,
he's going
to get re-injured. Let him get re-injured over here, for goodness sake.
Didn't that happen to Buxton? I think that happened to Buxton on one of his rehab assignments, didn't it?
Yeah, I went over there to see him play when they were going to have him go back to center field, and they hit one ball to him. He caught it, and then they had to give him the next day off because he'd played 5 innings, and then he got. Sunday, something happened to him and he couldn't play. So he's been phenomenal, though. I mean,
yes, he has.
As far as being able to play on the lineup, and let's face it, the highlight of the season is that catch he made to end the game.
Save that White Sox game last week. That was amazing.
That was a phenomenal catch. So one of his best ever because of where the altitude of the ball when he caught it. He was diving to get it, but I don't know. I just don't think they're very good, and
they can't stay healthy either. And that's my friend Tim Klobuchar. We were on a text chat talking about this team when Keishel got hurt. He said, "When everybody's healthy in December, look out."
Yes, right. That's right.
It's like nobody's ever going to be healthy at the same time. All their best players, are they?
Yeah, I don't know. We try to, you win 2 or 3 in a row against the Angels, and you try to have some big philosophy. Oh, we've all hung together, and it's it's 100. You're going to go 5-1 once in a while in a week, okay? That's not a big indication. But what was shocking to me, Mike, was I'd forgotten that when how quickly the collapse started. August.
Yes.
They were in Texas.
Jorge
they were
Alcala.
having a great road trip.
Yes.
They'd won 3 straight games.
Yes.
And on August 17th, they were at their high water point of the season, 17 over, 70 and 53. Alcala came in and gave up a 4-run lead so quickly they couldn't get anybody else in the game.
Right.
They lost that day. Yesterday was the first time they've won 3 in a row since then. They have not won 3 in a row since August 17th of last year. And also, this is the first time they've won back-to-back series.
I knew that one. I didn't know the 3 in a row. I knew the
3 in a row. Told us that yesterday. They hadn't won 3 in a row since August 17th of last year. And Bobby looked it up for me. On last year, on September 5th, that I had in my lead, the stats said they still had a 95.4% chance to beat the playoffs.
Yes.
And they ended up 4th.
Yes. Well, and it is crazy, too, how these things can ebb and flow because, we think about the 2011 season as like, the beginning of the doldrums of this team, and they started off terribly. They were 17 and 37 at one point, but then at the, I think at the All-Star break or something, like they were close enough in July. They were only like 5 games out at one point in mid-July, where we're thinking. I remember there being a conversation. We were so used to them being good. I remember there being a conversation like, "Hey, should they be buyers at the deadline? Should they go 19 and 50 the rest of the way and finish with almost 100 losses?"
Mackey over at the radio station started printing T-shirts. It's happening during the rival.
Yes,
they got up to 44 and 49.
Yes,
and then they went. And then they went 19 and 50. I'll never forget it. 19 and 50,
which is hard to do.
And that started. Basically, if you throw out 15, which is like they were 3 games over 500, something like that.
Yeah, they were like
that started a 6-year slump.
Yes.
And what I've always said is that spring when I was down in Florida, I was down most of the time. Everybody I ran into, "Hey, Reusse, can we beat the Yankees this year?"
Right.
And nobody even thought. And I did say, let's win the division first or something like that. But all anybody was afraid of was the Yankees, and they ended up losing 99 games.
99 games. I mean, Morneau was never the same really here after the concussion in 2010. Mauer, that was Mauer's injury year too, where he had that kind of mysterious, the bilateral leg weakness they called it, which was probably the worst thing they ever did.
Somebody called it.
It was Bill Smith, I think.
Gardy said, "What should I tell these guys?"
Okay.
And they had wrote it down. Bilateral leg weakness, which they completely invented, and it plagued Joe for the last 8 years of his career.
Yes, it did.
Because instead of saying he's got a bad leg,
right? He's got bilateral leg weakness. Like, what does that even mean? We don't know what that means.
It didn't mean anything.
It didn't mean anything. All it does is invite speculation. What does that mean? Is he dying? What does he got? It's like he's okay, I guess, but. And he came back and had better years after that, but the pitching was cooked at that point. But anyway, long story short being, like, you can think one thing about a team, and if they're just bad, they're bad. And we, even after the 5-1 homestand, let's see how these next 12 or so games go.
I did. Let me just say this to remind you. I did write a couple of weeks ago. Yeah. This was one of my favorite all-time sports teams, the Timberwolves, in town.
Yes, you did.
Because they were so goofy. I think part of the charm of seeing this now is They lost to the Wizards at home.
Right. Yes.
The Wizards were 1-32 on the road, and they beat them.
Somehow, they can.
So I mean, the fact that they could come out and play some of those incredible games makes this even more fun, if you ask me.
Yeah.
So
Yes, and let's finish quick with the NFL draft. We don't need a ton of opinions on this, and I'm sure I'll have one of the Vikings writers on this week to talk about as well. But you were telling me the New York Post, right, gave them a D plus, and even some of the other softer graders relative to the other teams didn't love their draft.
Well, you only had 4 choices too, right? So
5 at the end.
5 they ended up, but. Yeah, the New York Post, which you can't go to NFL.com because they give everybody they only get a B minus, but the New York Post gave us a D plus and rated us 31st in the league, 31 out of 32. So anyway, do you ever think, if we get the draft here, Mike, and you're still young and limber, are you going to go stand outside for 7 hours and wait and see who you're going to pick? What is wrong with people? What are you standing outside to watch the Toronto hockey game for? Go home, watch it on TV, go down to the bar. What are you standing outside for? It's so stupid.
I don't know.
I can't believe it.
It sounded like people had a good time there. On TV, it didn't look great on TV for whatever reason. It looked like they were, I don't know, like a big convention where they're selling cryptocurrency or something. I don't know. It just looked weird on TV. The graphics were weird. It didn't have that made for TV feel. But yeah, the draft itself for the Vikings, like they took their big offensive lineman in the first round. I think that's
always
good.
In favor of that because you need 7 of them. You need 7 offensive linemen who can play because 2 of them are going to get hurt. So
this has the potential to be their best line in a long time. Now that they've seemingly have addressed the interior of the line in a serious way, but this didn't have a lot of picks. And the thing we kind of lost in the shuffle is the reason they didn't have a lot of picks because they traded all of them away last year to try to get their quarterback. So they kind of made their own bet in that regard, and then they traded up again to get Dallas Turner last year and cost them, I think, their 2nd, 3rd, and 4th round picks. So they didn't have to do this. Boy, J.J. McCarthy and Dallas Turner better be good. Otherwise, they're going to really regret all of the things they've done. But
I was very excited about the Sam Howell acquisition, though, because it means we're not getting Kirk back. I was terrified we were going to get that.
Or Aaron,
Yeah, well, Aaron was
probably not Aaron.
Aaron was never coming.
Yeah.
Aaron's not going to play. I don't think Aaron's going to. Pittsburgh.
Who's going to play for Pittsburgh then? They didn't draft anybody.
I know, they're awful.
Mason Rudolph? What are they going to do? They trying to get Tomlin fired?
Shadir?
I don't
know.
They had plenty of cracks at him. He was certainly available.
They look like they're really going to be terrible.
They might be.
The Steelers finally, it's run out, and they haven't won a playoff game in what, 12 years or something.
It's been a while, but they're always good though. They're always in the mix at least.
They're boring as hell though, man. They're tough to watch. But it's tough for me to see Tomlin realize he's now an old man.
Yeah, this is what he's been there for 18 years now.
Chili's guy, only 1 year with Chili, right? So
right, but I know if he'd been here for another year or two, he might have been their coach for a long time. He would have been a great built-in successor. But yeah, D plus for the Vikings. I don't know if I'd grade it that harshly, but they can only do so much. I was surprised they didn't take anybody in the secondary because it feels like that may be a position of need. Speaking of a spot where you could always use one more, but we'll see.
One more fast guy, though. They like those receivers that can throw that little stuff across the middle. And they do. Sounds like he's probably another, one of those secondary. They like to have the underneath guy to go with Jefferson, right?
Yes, yes, they do.
Something like that, what they'll have here. So
yes.
And seeing the Kansas City role model, too, of always have 2 small fat guys that just can run by people and go back to Tyreek Hill. So that looks to be kind of their philosophy. But I have no idea how good they're going to be next year.
No, nobody does. No. Nobody does. You mentioned it already. Loons lost. They finally scored, though, so good for them. Though I think John wrote it was like, what, 5 full hours of scoreless play, maybe 6? I can't remember what it was.
He's
but
great, by the way. I
Yeah.
read all his soccer stuff, even though I don't know what the hell it is half the time. It's gibberish, but some of it is really interesting. And the fact is, he'll tell you what's actually going on. There's
Yes.
no punches pulled.
No.
When they stink offensively, he'll tell you that. But
Yes.
I just want to know the last time I was there was the opener 2 years ago, right? Okay.
Right.
And they had this big pressing style that was the new,
Yes.
we were going to go flying down the field. And it was obvious even to me, who doesn't know what's going on, that they were playing this. And now we don't like it when we have the ball. We want the other team to have the ball. What happened? I don't get it.
I don't know. I think it took a while for Ramsey to get here last year, and then I think he came in and realized
we're lose him because he's going to go to Fulton or some damn place. I don't know. I don't know where it is. Rumors, anyway. I don't know, but they when you are celebrating back-to-back scoreless ties, there's something seriously wrong with your game. And yesterday though, Vancouver kept 9 of the regulars on the bench and still beat us.
Still scored 3. Yeah, they brought some of them on at halftime, and it sounds like those guys made a difference. But yeah,
we keep singing even when we're behind 3-0. We still sing and have a good time.
We don't sing
like
Wonderwall.
We're having fun. Yeah.
We don't sing Wonderwall at the end, though. We can't sing Wonderwall unless you win. Not even in a 0-0 draw. I don't think we sing it for a 0-0 draw either. We just be quiet and filter out of the stadium quietly if it's a 0-0 game. But yeah, they lost yesterday.
If you would like to have soccer, I said yesterday that there's one thing Trump could do to get me on his side, and that would be to ban soccer in the United States of America and to send it back to Europe where it belongs in South America. But even a guy who doesn't like the game can be entertained reading Marthaler's stuff about what's going on, because he's telling you exactly what's going on. It's terrific. So anyway,
that's good. John and I go way back, so that's great to know that. 1,000% tariffs on soccer. There you go.
Yeah, that's right. That's true. Yeah, anybody you bring in from Paraguay or something, yes, that thing costs you 1,000. You got to give the government the same amount of money as you're giving the guy in the contracts. How about that? That's a very good proposal. That's
I have a feeling that might be showing up in a column someday.
Yeah.
We'll see.
All right,
Patrick. Appreciate it. So much stuff going on. Lots of stuff to get to next week, I'm sure. We'll talk to you then.
Okay. Thank you. Goodbye.